Welcome in, everybody, to episode number 41 of Whispers in Silence. It has been a interesting couple days for the Whispers, who have learned a great many new things about the state of the world, and also faced down one of the most terrifying dread demons I've ever created in stunningly anticlimactic fashion, as they absolutely destroyed Talia, Dread Demon of the End, my 315 HP Dread Demon with a power word heal that they tore through before she got a second turn. And I'm completely over it and not still angry. Nevertheless, though, the party made it to the land of Domus Dera, where once the Tower of Mortis Sylvana stood, but it is now the home of the actual home, I should say, of the Severed Hand, home to their more military branch, their militant side, still following the original phase instructions of being a thorn in Scala's side in whatever form that might take. There they met up with Odile Silver, and they also got to meet the Fae herself. Nissa Fayborn was there and spoke to them at length, informing Cerberus that the man known as the Black Badger, the first and greatest of the 9 traitors who betrayed Mitro Sylvana to Scala, still lives within Flora and Fauna's domain. Party made their way up to Raktala, where they were able to dispatch Talia, and then returned back to the God's Grass Forest in Ashoke, where Cerberus was able to finally convince Kelsey that she needs to take a moment to fucking breathe. And she had a rather emotional outburst to that. And despite the fact that many tears were shed, perhaps there is healing that is finally happening for her. So when we pick things up tonight, 2 days have passed since the last session. Cerberus went and communed with the spirit of Serene, but unfortunately, Rialta was not able to secure another gem for you. Outside of that, it's been a relatively quiet 2 days, as you have all been resting and recovering. Not that the fight was too particularly taxing, but it was a long journey through Talia's domain. So a couple days to recover, and more importantly, to give Kelsey time to finish healing up before she tries to lead an expedition into Flora and Fauna's domain, has done you all well. And that's where we will pick things up tonight. Let me get my notes up. This goes here. Notes go there. So it is the morning of the 3rd day since you were back. Rialta, Yuki has actually been gone for a couple days. Her and Melisandre were dispatched down to Mina's Grove to, well, Melisandre is there trying to bolster the moods of people who are there, and Yuki is offering some much-needed healing to many soldiers and to the those coming out of the dream, some much-needed counseling for them. However, she is due back today. She is supposed to return shortly, as, well, I think you of all people would probably know this. Sarah, not necessarily Rialta. It can be exhausting listening to people's problems all day. So they're scheduled to get back a little later today. But it is morning, and you have all gathered in the Widow's Resilience for breakfast. Miss Mira has provided you all with a lovely breakfast of assorted berries, and she has actually managed to make waffles out of some of the grains that have been provided. So it is a waffles and berries kind of morning. And most everyone is pretty pleased with that. Fala could do with a little more meat, in your opinion, but...
Me too.
Yeah, and Rialto.
I'm used to it by now.
Yeah, I think you've kind of made peace with the fact that you're not going to get to eat as much meat as you would like at this point.
I don't know if made peace is the right word as much as
Made tolerance.
have correctly set expectations.
Fair enough. Over the last couple days, Lana has been spending a good bit of time with you. It seems her being able to talk to Brux has helped a lot. It has helped, to be clear, it has helped you to still be connected with your mother. It has helped her a lot. She is a different person. So, Lana has joined you for breakfast this morning as well, and the rest of you are getting kind of used to her being around in one way or another. She has been doing a lot of research on plane shifting, it being her hope that she'll be able to get you to Diascala when the time comes. And it's actually this morning that she seems to be in a pretty good mood as she's reading through a book. Okay, so don't take this as a promise yet, but I think I might understand some of the nature of plane shifting and what sorts of things I'll need to actually be able to send you to the divine realm when the time comes. My biggest concern is actually getting you back at the moment.
Getting us back?
Yes. The short version of it is that we don't know the nature of the divine realm because no mortal's ever gone to it. And my concern is that while it is clearly hospitable to the divine, it might not be to you. Remember, we can see from the Onrado what happens to, well, people who have divinity suffused within them for too long. They age and die very quickly, relatively speaking. My concern is that when I send you there, well, you might be under the same problem.
I think... Glance around at everybody. I don't think that's necessarily a huge problem if we can accomplish the primary goal. I think is more important, like very much trying to sound everybody out like, hey, a suicide mission still gets the job done, right?
Yeah, I mean, Ralph will shrug with that.
Lana nods slowly. Yeah, the thought had occurred to me. Now, of course, my goal is to figure a way to get you back so that we don't have to worry about that being an outcome, but I'm glad to know that you're aware of the risks.
Are there concerns that once we enter, we would not be able to do our duty?
She smiles at that. I have no concerns that you will live up to whatever task is put before you. You've certainly shown yourselves capable.
Oh, I more meant that whatever is there that could affect us would affect us immediately while we were there.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
And the reason I don't believe so is because of the amount of time a god or goddess seems to need to spend there before they can summon up enough energy to return here. If it was so potent that the moment they got there, well, theoretically they would just recharge and could come right back. But it does seem like it takes a great deal of time for them to be able to jump again. I think that whatever is there is likely to have I think it's likely to be similar to becoming an Onrado. I think you would have a few years, probably. But
well, then that gives you further time if you need it.
Well, time is something I am well used to working with.
That is fair.
I would definitely focus on making sure you can get us there then, and we'll worry about returning after.
This might be a stupid question, but given that two of us have in some form sparked already, do we know that is even, like, are we entirely mortal?
Caldana, we are operating well beyond the theory of, or the practice of what is understood now. We are deep in theorizing territory at this point. It's like a Final Fantasy game where we have to use a convenient analogy at the end to explain what is happening because the actual metaphysics of it don't make sense anymore.
To that end, Caldana, I assume we are about as mortal as Soraya. Did I get the right name?
Soraya, yep.
Soraya, okay. As Soraya was once her spark was taken by Scala.
And she did die, if memory serves.
Well, I'm not saying that we can't die, more that do we know that it'll affect us in the same way?
We don't, is the short version of that. I merely want to... I'm not in the habit of sending people to their deaths without knowing the risks. I want you to be aware of the risks.
Well, thank you.
Well, what do you need in order to get us there? Have you figured that part out?
Time. That is
And
all.
just sort of quietly, hand on arm, just letting Unsaid go while the others.
She glances at you, Falah. If it comes to that, I would volunteer to go in your place.
Just give her that small little shake with a smile.
I'm just saying, technically, I'm the big sister now, so, like, I mean, it is kind of my place now. Okay, fine.
No, she's... It's quite personal.
A lot of nods. I understand. It's about this time. Hey, y'all, what are your pronouns? She, her, Rialta,
Rialta's character is she, her.
Caldana,
She, they.
Falah,
Player and character, both she, her.
Melody.
Oh shit, are we doing a player or a character
Yes.
or both?
Yes,
Whatever you want to do, yeah.
both.
Player is she, they, character is she, her.
And Cerberus would be our only... Did he say he, they, or he, him? I can't remember.
I thought you said
I think he said he,
him?
him.
Okay, yeah. So he would be our own, but he's absent tonight. So Cerberus has a cardboard cutout sitting at the table with them while they all chit-chat.
Yeah, when he walks, he does this little sound effect.
Yeah,
Yes, 100%.
I think you might be thinking of Robbie Scholar in character, Callie.
Oh yeah.
That
Yep,
would
yep,
be,
yep, yep.
that
Yeah,
would be
yeah.
that would be he, they. Yeah.
Yeah, Gem's he they. The cardboard cutout was making stealth rolls. So it's around that time that Carmen enters in and approaches the table and smiles. How is everyone feeling?
Healthy.
Better
Well
than the
enough.
alternative?
Hungry?
Hungry? Has Mira not been feeding you?
Oh no,
She's just
she's been feeding me fine. It's hard to explain. I haven't had an appetite as of late, really.
Mm.
It's been a while, but
Now it's coming
Yeah.
back. Well, I am here to let you know that Miss Tashira arrived earlier, just about an hour ago. They are currently over at Silence Broken.
I'm not here. I'm not here. And she is hiding under things.
Not
On that note, I'm gonna be right back really quick.
Dives under the table.
Carmen just raises an eyebrow.
She is,
Uh-huh.
I think, nervous to meet her.
I
Meet
see.
them. Sorry.
That's fair.
Well,
Scarlet,
You
or
know.
Tashira has proven herself quite the war hero in the last 10 years. Fair enough.
I mean, in just those few days that we knew them, just sort of glance at Melody dashing around. We
that,
could all tell.
That potted plant's too small for you, Melody. We still see your horns.
And your scales.
Just thought you should know.
Tilly says, I think Melody would like to try to hide under a napkin, please. She nods. And Caldana, Soraya also is back. She had gone out with Nymira on a hunting expedition, but they returned it this morning as well.
Well, I'll see you all later. I know where I'm needed.
You go
you
off
later.
to the home that Soraya has here, and to go meet up with her and Nymira.
We
Meanwhile,
finally moved back out of the inn so we'd stop bothering people.
yeah. Now that her home is available again, you're staying there. The rest of you head on down to Silence Broken, the headquarters of the New Whispers in Silence. And we need a change of music.
Melody's got a napkin over her face as she's walking with us.
Of course.
Yeah. It doesn't even hide her face at all. Like it's just covering one fucking eye.
No, it's just hanging off her horn.
So you make your way down to Silence Broken, and indeed, Tashira has changed quite a bit since the last time you saw her. While she was considered an adult of her people the last time you met, she still had many of the hallmarks of adolescence for the Dragonborn. That is no longer the case. Standing before you is a woman grown, having bulked up a bit and grown another few inches. The fringes atop her head now trace further down behind her, almost to her shoulders, and she wears a more serious expression than you remember. She wears chain armor that looks to be made of silver and steel, and her dark steel lance is secured to her back. Over her left shoulder, she wears a cape that drapes down the left side of her body to her upper thigh. And as you all enter, she gazes up at you and smiles. Scarlet, take me. It really is true. Welcome back, Whispers in Silence.
It's great to see you healthy. I know it's probably strange of how passage of time has been.
She nods. 10 years, I believe. Doesn't feel like it, if I'm honest with you. It's really flown by, actually.
Technically we had the same thing. She looks back
Yes,
at
I'm
the
sure
others.
it's flown
Quite
by quicker for
literally.
you.
Quite
That was-
literally flown by for us.
That was a joke.
She smiles and walks over. Rialto, she was always taller than you. She is now a good bit taller than you.
Yeah.
And she kind of cocks a grin down at you. She carries herself with an air of confidence that she did not have before. Before, she was very, she was still young and very uncertain of herself. Now, she has been to war. She has seen the best and the worst of it, and she carries herself like it. But she cocks a grin and smiles. It has been, I'd like to say it has been peaceful and calm while you've all been gone, but it has not. As I'm sure you've come to learn, I understand you've already killed 2 dread demons since returning.
That is correct. Thank goodness.
Well, you've all have left off then or have all picked up where you left off. I had hoped by the time you returned I would have surpassed you, but I fear, if anything, I am merely on your level. She winks.
I think you have done quite well for yourself in these 10 years, and I can see that. But, she looks to Melody, still with the napkin over her face, and then looks
Melody
back.
Melody has the napkin like over her snout, and she is attempting to hide behind Falah.
Which, to be
Tashira-
fair,
Tashira glances over. Are you angry with me? Or...
I'll grin at her and just sort of over my shoulder. You have a message.
And Melody just kind of like peeks over Falah's side, like slowly. No,
know. I don't know why I'd be mad at you.
It's very nice to
Then
see you
slides
again,
back.
Melody of the Ivory. Your mother wished me bid you a message. She is happy to hear that you have arrived safely in this time and looks forward to seeing you when you journey out to face Evelyn.
And every once in a while, like you'll see like half her face just like peek out, like she's trying to decide
Huge,
how to,
huge shit-eating grin this entire time.
and it's like she's trying to decide what to say, but more than anything, like she's like sneaking glances up at Dashira.
So glancing up at her, you notice a couple things. She has a couple of scars on her face now from wounds that she took in battle at one point. I would say the most noticeable thing is the cape that she wears where her left arm is supposed to be. Now able to see closer, it is clear that she is not wearing it for style. She does not have a left arm.
How is Mama doing?
Ambrosia as well. We have been leading the defense, or the resistance, I should say, of Farhome for the last 8 years now. When that day happened, High Peak was probably the first place that Diascala visited her wrath upon, and I barely escaped along with Ambrosia. Scarlet was killed, and as were many of my people. But Ambrosia and I were able to make it to safety. I am sorry that Celesta did not. Ambrosia had to drag me away to keep me from going back after her.
You didn't need to apologize. Mom's stubborn when puts her mind to it, especially if it involves her family.
Yes, she took down a great number of Scala's subordinates in the process, and she died a warrior's death. The Scarlet would have been proud to call her one of their own. After that, Ambrosia took me to Farhome, and that is where we completed my training, and I led the defense of the city when Evelyn came for it. And I'm ashamed to say that I failed you twice in the ensuing downtime.
And at this point, when she says she's failed twice, Melody comes out from behind Falah and just kind of like walks up and like looks up at her basically now. And with like there's like a sincere glint in her eyes when she goes, "What are you talking about? You haven't failed me at all."
She kind of blinks a little, taken aback by that.
You've been there for both my mom and my mama when I haven't been there. You defended my home. I
She smiles.
You've done more for them than I have.
It's good to see you again, Melody. It does my heart good to know that you are back. All of you. For the first time, I feel like we may have a chance at facing Evelyn. and not just going to our slaughter.
Could you tell us more of what's happening there?
I can. As I say, it was about 8 years ago when Evelyn came. At first, she came under the guise of a friend, an ally. And when we learned just what it was that she had become, we paid a heavy price for our faith. She took over the city in relatively short order, although she did not kill hardly anybody. She is the dread demon of cruelty, among other things. And she motions to her missing arm. She found another way to subdue our people. Most of them are crippled in one way or another now,
Torture.
Name
among
checks
other
out.
things. Whatever she once was, she's not anymore. I rounded up those who could still carry a weapon at the end of it, and we fled. Ambrosia met us in Mitra Centauran just before it fell. And there we would have been wiped out if we hadn't chanced upon an unlikely ally who has been, without a doubt, the only reason that we are still alive today.
Who's that?
Who would you guess?
Matriarch?
She nods. Of all the people that we expected to be our savior, the matriarch was not high on that list. And yet she was. She took us into hiding in a place deep under Loch Centauran, where our resistance has grown and flourished in its own way. We established contact with Carmen about 5 years past, and have served as their eyes and ears on this side of the Great Divide ever since.
Goddess become Dread Demon, while Dread Demon become Goddess.
Too true.
Oh,
She's not a pleasant person to speak with. She's not a pleasant person to speak with, but she does seem determined for us to survive.
That fits with her character.
Yeah, she kind of said, a bad word. She said,
And she puts two gold coins in the
In the curse purse.
purse. Yep.
Got it. Well, since then, we've been serving as eyes and ears and doing whatever we can to poke a thorn into the side of the leadership over there in the hopes that Yuki was telling the truth and that you would all return someday. And here you are.
Yeah, here
What
we
a-
are.
you said she took over Farhome.
She did.
Does that mean she got to the sacred song?
I can't say I know how she got it. I can't say I know how she got there. But she was there one day, and well, the fools we were, we invited her in.
You couldn't have known.
No. I recognize that it won't be, well, I can't imagine that facing the Red Lady or Talia has been easy for you all, but
You'd be surprised.
Well,
I mean more in a emotional sense than a physically
Yeah,
taxing
no,
one.
I couldn't help but
Yeah, that's
poke
fair.
that wound a little more.
no.
Maybe the
it's-
DM should stop giving away incredibly powerful magic items and then being upset that the enemy balance doesn't work anymore.
They do exactly what they
Never
say
gonna
they're
happen.
supposed to do.
Well, I can't say that I relish the thought of when I have to face Selena, but they seem to somewhat return their senses, but only till the very end.
Those that are in Farhome still have either surrendered into Scala's dream world or are servants to Evelyn. Most of the dread demons, as I understand it, don't care for the earthly values of this world, but she certainly seems to enjoy them.
So she's not. So the people that are under Evelyn's rule are not in Scala's dream world.
Not all of them. Evelyn has maintained a personal service of some of them.
Oh,
My understanding is that escape into Scala's dream world is something of a retirement package, a reward for loyal service.
Disturbing, because well, what is her end goal? Because eventually, those people will be gone.
Evelyn's?
Yes, there's no reproduction.
Hard to tell. Truly. As far as I can tell, her goal is cruelty.
what's
She
more
revels in it.
cruel than- would it be more cruel than denying them what they really want? Rather what they think they want, an escape.
Indeed. But that is neither here nor there right now. It is very good to see you all again.
Of course.
I would like to tell you that I'm here purely to see you all, but that is not entirely the case. My understanding is that Kelsey has come quite a way with her innovations. She told me that she was preparing a replacement for what I have had taken from me.
A replacement arm.
She seems quite skilled at such things, I'm sure. If she told you she could, she'll be able to.
Well, I didn't see that one flying her headlong into the sky before she crashed in the ground, so I think you should
What?
be good.
She just
Oh.
looks over at you.
Realtor just
Did we
blinks.
Did we not tell you about that?
I don't know if we did. It was a strange, fiery thing that shot her up into the sky, and then she lost control and crashed into the ground.
She tried to fly in the sky like Tashira and
Well, it was like
What?
a backpack. She had a backpack on. It
No,
wasn't an arm.
it was
that
one of
the first
one of
mistake,
her
Tashira's supposed to
devices.
use a spear. I mean, that's how Tashira does it.
She motions back to her spear. Works for me.
Well, some people have to use other means. I certainly wouldn't mind having a backpack that propelled me forward so I could keep up with all of you long legs. Do you know how hard it is to walk faster in these short, stubby dwarf legs? It's not easy.
The
Takes me 25 feet for 6 seconds, I'll have you know.
the 7-foot-tall dragonborn looks to you and just nods.
I mean, you can ride on my shoulder
But
if
just
you
think
want.
of how much exercise you get this way.
That's what they all tell me.
You get 1/6 more exercise than anyone else.
Yeah, and that's what you're going to tell me is it makes me have a fine ass, and I'm going to say, someday.
Well, we'd probably have to ask Martine.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
I mean, yeah, Rialta, if you get tired, you can absolutely ride on my shoulders.
I got this. That was
I
a
don't
half
mind.
joke.
I mean, I literally have like horns for hand. My horns are shaped like handlebars. Someone said.
Your horns are handlebars.
Tashira almost chokes on her spit.
I don't think they meant. Thank you for the offer. I think I will never use it.
Definitely going to arm around her shoulder and lean in and sort of like build on Carmen's talk,
God.
explaining what just happened.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go see Kelsey. It has been wonderful seeing you all again. I'm sure we'll maybe talk for dinner tonight, yes? And she staggers out.
Those scales seemed redder than usual.
Yeah.
I am looking
I
to
finally
see.
get it. Oh my god.
I'm sorry.
Wait, what? Really, Mal?
Wait, get what? Wait, get what?
I finally fucking get it.
The handlebars
The
thing?
handlebar?
God damn it, Mal.
Oh,
I'm sitting here like, what the fuck? What do you mean? Like Carmen's talk.
Wait, so when that joke was made like 10 sessions ago.
Yeah, you just didn't get
you
that at
just
all when
didn't
we
get
made that
it.
joke.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
It went like, oh no, I guess yeah, they would be shaped like that, yeah.
I guess they would kind of be like handlebars.
Oh.
He's
You
like,
have learned much.
mm.
You have learned much.
Okay, Mal.
Okay.
Is it Mal? Is it Melody? I can't tell anymore.
I was gonna say, what was it the one time where there was something in
eye
Discord?
mask?
No, there was.
Oh.
There was something in Discord that Mal's like, I don't get it, and Cara and I are sitting here in the chat, and we're like,
Yeah.
we're not sure if she's fucking with us or not.
Yeah. I
No,
know,
if I say I don't get it and don't immediately like go like, nah, I'm kidding. Like, I genuinely don't get some
That's
things.
Got it.
That's okay.
Some things just fly. Like I'm so short, some things just fly over my head.
I understand.
Okay.
As long as we don't talk about the Kentucky jelly, we're good.
Classic.
Yeah.
All right. So, meanwhile, Caldana, you have made your way over to the home inside of one of the trees on the southern end of town, and your camera froze.
Yep,
Oh, no.
sure did.
Giving the fucking side eye.
With to be fair, a pretty great picture.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Giving the fucking camera a side eye. It's like, what the fuck are these bitches talking? Oh.
You're
Oh,
back.
there we go.
You exchanged the motion on the camera for extra robot on the voice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
It's either one or the other.
ooh.
Oh no, it's frozen on a smile.
Oh,
no.
no.
Therefore, we
It's a
have
pretty
proof
smile,
now.
though, at least. Oh, now it's muttering.
All right.
We are.
Probably
We're still waiting. Technical difficulties.
Just by a little.
Happening. Every time we talk freezes.
Oh no.
You are so robot-y.
Hey, this Discord, what are you doing? I can't tell if it's.
Better now?
No, not really.
She was.
It's better enough in that we got that entire sentence.
Yeah.
But it was still robot-y.
Mal, that drop board for the music is slaying me. I'm dying.
The night where your internet went out and
Oh, yeah.
you fixed that was so
Oh,
amazing.
yeah.
Just that immediate jump cut to like especially everybody's face in the way you put that jump cut was so good.
Yep, that was a good episode. Despite Comcast's best attempts to make it a bad episode.
I also have this one, but this one is more like the. Ooh.
Oh yeah, the freaking Eric Andre show.
Yeah. It's like we'll be right back after these messages.
Yep. Oh my god. I still like. I didn't watch a whole lot of the Eric Andre show, but it has some of my favorite bits of all time on any show. But it also just has so many gross out bits that I can't watch it. But it like the bit where he has a fucking grizzly bear on his show as a guest is one of the funniest things I've ever watched in real time. because half the cast has no idea that it's coming, and he's like, our next guest is a grizzly bear. And literally a grizzly bear walks up onto the set out through the guest door, and Hannibal is like sitting on the side sofa and just looks over like, what the hell? And sees it and just like gets up and goes to stand behind Eric. And you can just see like the band get up and leave because they're not dealing with this shit.
We're not getting paid enough for this.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Eric's sitting there, and Eric is like sitting there, like trying to do like an interview with the grizzly bear that has come over and just started to eat the guest sofa. And he's like, so do you like this is safe, right? And Hamil's just like shaking his head like,
No, it's not.
and then the grizzly bear gets up on the desk and breaks it, and and that's where it does da 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 da. We'll be right back. It is one of my just look up if you're ever bored, look up Eric Andre Grizzly Bear. It's like a 40-second bit, and it is one of the things that has made me laugh harder than anything else in my entire life. Oh my god. You know what?
You gonna play it?
I'm just gonna watch it right now. You all can hear it in the background. Kenku. Silence. Eric Andre Grizzly Bear.
I will watch in solidarity.
There we go. The intro to the show coming back.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, grizzly bear. Grizzly bear.
It's a bit loud.
It's just a grizzly
All
bear.
right.
That's just a grizzly bear.
Oh my god. Do you,
Hannibal seemed like so
welcome-
high. I don't know if he actually
He took,
was.
oh, yeah, he
He
for
was?
sure was, yeah.
Okay, 'cause he seemed very.
This is still safe, right? I no longer am a fan of this bit.
Oh my god. Oh, that makes me so happy.
It's straight up just a grizzly bear.
it's just a grizzly bear.
Who was in charge of that?
I'm sure they paid an animal handler to come bring a grizzly bear on set that day. They got in trouble with their insurance frequently on that show. One of the reasons they had to stop doing that show is because they couldn't get guests to come on it anymore.
Yeah.
Because eventually, like, people started learning what the show was, and no one would agree to come on anymore.
All right, guys, I'm Caldana now, by the way.
I get
You
to
are
stay at the top.
Yep.
You are still full up.
Let's see. How's
Well-
Kara doing? Kara's gonna be so upset if she misses D&D tonight because of this. Oh.
Your neighborhood, like, you need to give us our best Caldana impression. We'll think about it.
Yeah, that fucking
Oh dear.
Eric Andre's show was one of the best worst shows I've ever seen. Like, I genuinely loved it and also hated it. Cause like you know, does anyone else have any trouble like with the whole like it's so awkward for entertainment value thing, but like it's like so awkward where I'm just like, oh my god, I can't. I'm
Oh,
secondhand
yeah,
embarrassed and I
there-
just can't.
Yeah,
There's
it's
a
yeah.
threshold, and it's like, okay, I can no longer
enjoy
I can no
this.
longer enjoy
Yeah,
this.
and it depends on the type of awkwardness. I know, like, he wouldn't probably do
It's
this now,
it's a
but
situation by situation thing for me.
Yeah.
I know, like, for me sometimes, like, if the guest feels too awkward and I start to feel bad for the guest, it doesn't work.
You would have a hard time with
Yeah.
the Eric Andre show. There were some where like the shit that he does, like I have a moment where I'm like, I feel so bad for this guest.
And I know, because just back when the show was made, like, definitely was not, I don't think, intentional, but just I've heard some of the things he would ask, like, some of his female guests, and it's like, just stuff that today you just wouldn't do.
Hello.
Return?
Hello.
Do we have her?
Well, I hear you now.
Okay, well, let's.
Hey.
Hey.
Okay, can I
Okay.
still speak?
Yep. You
Yes.
sound
Yes.
normal now.
Only when
Okay,
spoken
cool.
to.
I
All right.
restarted everything.
I reference back to that Wildermyth fucking screen cap once more.
The game knows.
All right. So, Caldana, you have made your way on over to the home that Soraya has in one of the southernmost trees of the city, as it were. It is as you would guess for Soraya, it is a very simple abode. It is a room, and then on a floor above, there is a bedroom. That is basically all it is, because all she ever does is eat or sleep there at the most. She doesn't really ever do much else there. Well, I will say lately there's probably something else she does there, but we can't talk about it on stream. So you head on over there, and I have to
Bathing.
change the music.
Something handlebars.
Yeah, something, yeah.
Yeah.
You approach the house, and you like go to knock, and then you're like, are we like at the point where I can just go in, or do I still need to knock? Like, where are we in the relationship? And as you're sitting there like kind of dealing with it, the door opens and Nymira is there, and you can see behind her Soraya is at the table looking over some documents, and Nymira raises, Hi, sis.
Hey, I'm back in town and heard she just got back.
She glances over Soraya and gives you a big wolfish grin. Yeah, I'll bet you did. Well, I won't, well, three's company, if you know what I mean. And, she kind of slinks by you.
I'll just step in at this point.
And, Nymira heads off to go to you're not sure where. Meanwhile, Soraya looks up and smiles. Well, you look healthy. More so than I would have guessed. Here, I thought you were doing the hard work.
Just give a sarcastic little bow, completely unharmed, as ordered by my matriarch.
She nods.
That was not what I thought you were
That's
gonna say.
interesting. I'm used to having to punish you. I'm gonna have to figure out what else to do in this case. She stands up and walks over and pushes you against the wall and kisses you. After a moment of that, she seems satisfied isn't the word, but contented for the moment. Where are you off to next?
Flora and fauna after Kelsey recovers.
Kelsey. Of all the troubled girls I've known over the years, and, well, I've known a few, she is up there near the top. Poor thing.
Hopefully
you-
Varys.
Sorry, go ahead.
Hopefully Varys will figure out this whole parenting thing sooner than later.
She thinks about that and is like, I'm 50-50 on whether he'll get it right, but I would say
Yeah.
he has certainly grown since the last time I knew him. Although, I will say the night that I had possession of your body, he was very kind to me.
He did kind of... I don't know that he ever caught on that you weren't me.
Then he was kind to you, which I also take as a kindness to me. I mean, I didn't then, but I do now.
Just smile.
You know, if you had asked me 300 years ago who I would end up with, I have to tell you that a goddess-chosen matriarch of the Kartok 300 some years in the future is not what I would have guessed.
You know, I could say the same about a former dread demon.
She nods. Oh, yes. Dread demon of lust. You know, it had its advantages, as terrible and awful as it was. Nowadays,
Does it
I don't...
outweigh them now?
She looks you over for a moment. Not when you're wearing that many clothes, it doesn't. And she will take you upstairs. And they're going to fade to black. Meanwhile, Rialta,
Yeah.
as the afternoon begins to set in, the horns blare, signaling that people are returning, or approaching anyway. And very quickly, you hear that it is Yuki and Melisandre who are returning. Although, as you go out to greet them, it is just Yuki. Melisandre does not seem to be with her at the moment.
She will, she was basically just waiting for her return, so she will approach and give a quick wave. I'm glad to see you safe. Is Melisandre not with you?
She smiles brightly as she sees you, but shakes her head. No, Melly stayed behind in Minas Grove for a little bit. They need hands there more than we need them here. And, so I asked her to stay there for a short while until until she is needed to accompany you to the matriarch, or Evelyn, I suppose.
Indeed, two separate entities, as it turns out.
That is still a lot to process. Although I suppose the scriptures have always taught that the matriarch, when she was one being, was still two beings, both goddess and demon in one body.
The line between dread demon and deity is, I think, slimmer than many of us first were led to believe.
I fear that is so. Though it's easy for us all to just sit back and believe that, that there is good and evil in the world and we get to choose which one we want to be.
That's sort of the strangeness part of it, isn't it? It's also based on people perception.
Yeah, good and evil is just a matter of perspective.
I know.
If we are wiped out, we will be seen as the villains. We will be seen as a riffraff, a resistance that stood in the path of progress, that stood in the path of a dream world that we could all, where none would suffer, a utopia. That is what we will be remembered as if we lose. In many ways, we are the evil ones, from their perspective.
I know that to be true. But, well, it is nice to have stable truths to believe in, and when those get uprooted, it's like a tree without roots.
What are your stable truths, Rialta? What do you believe in? What do you believe in so firmly that it could never be shaken?
She thinks on that for a moment and gives a soft chuckle. It's a cop-out answer, I'm afraid. It's one my father would say to me.
I don't see anything that is a cop-out about that.
Well, if there's one thing you can always believe in, is that things can change. That people can change. That the unexpected cannot always be expected. I hate it when he would say that, because the definition of the word unexpected just means it's unexpected. Anyway, the point is that...
But it makes sense to you now, doesn't it?
Yes. Unfortunately. She kind of looks at her. I sometimes forget that you're 10 years older, and I know I should be treating you as such, but,
Believe me, I'm still very much a child in so many ways. I am often reminded of that. My mother said something to me, too, that I used to hate hearing because it's just not how my mind worked. My mother used to say, the way will become clear. And what it means is that just because we can't see it now doesn't mean that there is no right way. We just haven't seen it yet. And I used to hate hearing that because I wanted to know the way. I wanted to plan it out and understand it now and in the moment and have a path to walk. I didn't like leaving things to chance. And I suppose much like you, it's in her loss that I now see the wisdom of those words. It's a way of saying you can't despair. It's a way of saying that a comfort is always there in knowing that indeed the way will become clear in time.
is that your unwavering truth?
She nods. The way will become clear.
And it will become clear for you, too.
She nods.
She kind of motions her to walk with her.
Sure. She walks
Yeah.
alongside you.
As much as I do not want to cause further distress, I am not one to keep things from people.
You? No.
She kind of looks at her.
She
Just
kind of
like,
grins.
why does everybody say that? Keeps walking. I managed myself to get into contact with your brother.
Very complicated look comes over her face.
Do you wish to know more?
Yes.
She nods. He is in pain, but he has not turned yet. He knows that something is stopping him. I did not give away your secret, so to speak, but I sort of implied myself. Obviously, he saw through that, as I was unsuccessful in keeping his transformation the first time, so it only logical sense that I would not be able to the second time. But still, he is in pain. She grimaces. I suppose in a moment of panic and lack of forethought, I convinced him to come here, where perhaps we would be able to help him better. His main concern was hurting you, of course.
She starts fidgeting with her hands and then reaches up and starts grabbing strands of her hair and playing with them.
She'll look at her. Is something the matter?
Am I doing the wrong thing?
By keeping him from transforming?
I've always had faith in him, even when I was angry with him. I've always known he was a good person at heart. And now I just can't help but think maybe I'm just clinging on to him because I'm afraid to lose him or someone else.
Yuki, he's trying to transform because he's afraid of losing you too. I don't think what you're doing is wrong. And maybe that is my bias speaking.
But am I condemning him to a lifetime of pain?
I think the life did that first, Yuki. He will be in immense pain if he transforms.
I think you know what I'm asking, Rialta.
Should he die?
She nods.
She looks to the side for a moment. I don't know. if it were to come to that, I would take care of it.
I'd like to tell you that I have the strength to raise my weapon against him. I don't think I could. Maybe I'm too weak.
I don't think you should. There's just some things I think, even in a world of this much suffering and stagnation, I think it's still important to have some things to be too sensitive to do. Otherwise, that doesn't make us very good mortals.
Rialta, has anyone ever told you about the gift that you have?
She thinks for a moment. I'm not sure I know what you mean.
Perspective. More than anyone I've ever known, maybe aside from my mother, you understand perspective and how it needs to change. How sometimes things need to be looked at from the top of a mountain peak and sometimes examined under a magnifying glass. Don't ever lose that. It is a great gift.
Well, thank you. But you should know something. It had to be learned. I, at times, struggle with understanding context before me. I actually failed one of my first courses of reading the stars because I struggled with that. I cast my net too wide, I think is how my brother explained it. I can see the top of the mountain, the bottom of the mountain, in between the mountains, around the mountain. It's exhausting sometimes. And people think it's obvious which one to highlight, and to me, they all seem they could be equally important. But I suppose in my journey of trying to do that, it is resulting in what you are seeing, I think.
To discover one's own truth, that is the journey of a hero.
As do you. I am still thinking of how to help your brother, though. I want you to know that. I have an inkling of an idea, but if he does come here, there is one thing I need to ask of you.
And what is that?
Two things I need to ask of you. One, don't come closer until I say so. And two, I may need to borrow the necklace that you have from your mother.
She nods. I trust you.
Thank you. Now, speaking of perspective, what will you be doing today?
Oh, well, let's see. I'll go give my report to Mother. From there, I'll go check in on the temple, make sure everything has gone well in my absence. Then I will head over to the memorial wall and inscribe a couple new names that have come over from Mina's Grove, and tend to any family or people, offer prayers. I'm supposed to go visit in the infirmary and lend some assistance to your mother, healing people who need it. I understand Tashira is here, so I need to make sure to meet up with her and catch up with her. And she just starts. She just goes like the list never seems to end.
Rialta will just kind of blink, and then she'll say, "Okay, which of those things should I be doing?"
I'm sorry.
Which of those things on your list can I do?
Oh, that's not necessary. They're my tasks for the day.
Those tasks seem too much for the amount of hours of daylight we have today. Which of those can I do today?
She seems very caught off guard, as if she does not know how to answer that question.
I can probably inscribe names. I've been told I have decent handwriting. She offers her a journal. You can write them here.
Okay.
Tell Quilliam. He will write them down for you.
Tell who?
Quilliam Tell. It's, I got it from Kelsey. He writes what you speak. He might only write what I speak. I'm not sure.
Oh, like Quilbert. Okay, now I get it. Yeah. Oh, Kelsey. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah. She speaks out a couple names that your magic quill writes down.
And then the healing, I can take care of that with my mother. It should be more than enough with us.
Oh. Okay. Well, okay. That would help immensely. I suppose I could then I could go ask for some new tasks to fill in for those for tonight.
No new tasks. Those are enough for today.
She kind of gives a huffy look.
She pats her back. You're doing good. You don't need to put more on so that, well, there will always be more tasks to do, but there's only one of you.
I suppose that's fair. Then I'm gonna go make my report to Mother.
That's a good idea. I will get these transcribed.
Thank you, Rialto. Truly. For everything.
Of course, Yuki. I'm happy to help.
And she heads off while you go to transcribe some names onto stone.
Oh, this is a lot harder than I thought.
It is not as easy as writing. It is a very different process. But you do. And it is that night when you are all summoned to Silence Broken. And within, most of the new whispers are there, as are you all. Except for Sir Varus, who was not able to make it in this evening after challenging Kelsey to an eating contest and losing in spectacular fashion.
As you would imagine.
Yeah, he's doing a snooze back at the inn.
You really need to stop eating
He
bad
lost, so
food.
he had to stay in the stables.
Yeah, basically. So he's gone off to do that. The rest of you have met up, and Carmen is kind of explaining the state of things as is. Kelsey is there. She now only has an arm in a sling. She no longer has any broken bones to deal with. Instead, she just has a shoulder that is still healing up, but she seems to be in better spirits now that she's close to being able to go back to work. And as you all enter, she grins. Hey, so just wanted to let you know, I should be good to go back to work like in 2 more days. And at that point, I think it'll probably only be like a week or so before I have my new invention ready to go. I call it a flamethrower. And you guys are going to be very excited with what it does. Guess.
Does it
Throw
flames?
It does throw flames, and it's really cool.
Okay, but I can throw flames already.
Yeah, but not like this, and not at the amount that this one does. I promise you that.
Oh dear.
I finally got the tank to stop exploding.
Okay.
Sometimes it would spontaneously combust, which was not the best because the gelatin inside burns for a very long time.
So,
Yeah,
but
that seems like a bit of a flaw.
well, but that's not the kind of flame throwing you wanted.
No, I want to be able to direct the flames at something and say, burn down a pestilent jungle.
You know, you could use that tank to your advantage, break it, and then throw it.
You know, the thought had occurred to me, and I actually am working on another concept based around that idea. I call it a grenade. I haven't perfected that one either. I'm running into this issue of like how to prime it and then get away from it before it explodes. The first model that I made, thank God I was wearing my armor at the time, because I pulled the light on it and it just blew up immediately, and it really did work. It was very effective. But well, the problem is it's a great tool, but you can only use it once in most circumstances.
Well, here's an idea. Since you're working on the flamethrower, why don't you put a pin on the grenade for now and just focus on refining the flamethrower a bit?
A pin. Melody, you're a genius.
God damn
Yes.
And what?
Hold up, and you just see her get out and just start like scribbling down a design schematic to it. Pull the pin. So follow me on this. I set up a black powder cartridge, a very tiny one, so that it won't explode, and then I put a pin in it with a flat piece of metal that holds the black powder cartridge up. And when I pull it, it lights the top, and then it has to burn down to where the rest of the explosive material is. She hasn't actually shown you the grenade, so none of this makes any sense to you, but she seems very excited about it.
I have a
Melody
second.
is
Work.
nodding
Hold on.
like she's following along, and then she turns to Fala and goes like,
I don't get it. What did I do?
Caldana's just gonna sigh,
You gave
reach
her
into
an
a pocket,
idea.
and then hand Soraya 5 gold.
Soraya seems very happy as she takes her 5 gold. She doesn't seem happy. She seems satisfied as she takes her 5 gold.
You know, that grenade sound. I have a secondary name for that grenade because it sounds like when it explodes, it makes a very big boom sound.
Oh, yeah. Definitely boom.
I'm gonna call it a bomb.
A bomb. Yes. Absolutely. Although, she starts thinking,
Bombs. Well, a grenade sounds small. A bomb needs to be like a boom. Like
no, that's what I'm thinking. So what if we expand this concept out? What if we expand it out to make much larger explosives? We could take out like a bridge with it. And Carmen holds up a hand. We usually like our bridges being intact. We're the ones who need to use them to travel. And Kelsey nods. Yes, and yet again, you are standing in the way of progress. Thank you, Mom. And she rolls her eyes.
Well, I feel wrong to support mass weapons of destruction as the healer, but this does sound fascinating.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Sorry. The flamethrower that I was talking about. Okay, so one of the biggest problems that we have with getting to flora and fauna is, well, the actual environment itself. You can't really go into it. Not really. I mean, you can for a moment, but you'll just be bone before you know it. That's what happened to the last person who went in. I've timed it out. The infectious diseases in there and the pestilent wildlife only need like a couple minutes or so to reduce flesh to bone. So that's not really so we need to kind of make a path in there. So yeah, this flamethrower, we can launch this highly flammable gelatin. Do you all know what gelatin is? It's made from like animal bone. You know the concept?
I
yeah,
know
it's very
the
tasty.
I know the gel from
Familiar.
oil that makes Vaseline.
Yes. So it's very similar concept. So I've managed to make a very flammable version that not only burns extremely hot, but for a very long time. And my belief is that I can use it to clear us a path into the pestilent jungle while also burning away whatever insects or other bacteria might be living there. And she smiles.
What's bacteria?
So it's like, you know how sometimes you get sick, but you don't really know what made you sick? Yeah, that's what bacteria do.
Oh.
And
That's
yes,
not
in this world,
nice.
they don't know what bombs are, but they do know what bacteria are, apparently.
I mean, that's good. I guess they just never found fireworks yet.
I mean, maybe on a different continent they would know.
Yeah. I see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good work.
It was
And-
good work. Thank you.
And
Also, Rialta, I've been
Yes?
thinking about that concern that you mentioned to me when I was being carried, and I was a little bit in and out of consciousness, so I didn't quite get the whole details, but it sounded like you were kind of into my jetpack idea. because you got short, stubby legs and can't walk very fast.
Well, that's a little rude, but yes, this is accurate.
Oh, sorry.
No, that was a
Mhm.
joke. It's just an accurate statement.
Yeah, so I was thinking, what if I made you a set of legs that made you taller and you could walk faster?
She blinks at that for a moment.
Uh-huh.
Like really tall shoes?
Yeah, like, so I've been working on this new arm for Tashira, and she motions over to Tashira, who indeed you now see has a metal arm. It's not like a full like cyborg arm like we would think, or an android arm, but it is able to grip and move. And it's relatively simple, but it is working. So I was looking at that, and I was thinking if I could make leg prosthetics. So the Dia Asenil, they have a way of doing a technoprosthesis where they make reinforced legs that make it so if you fall from a higher distance, you don't, die because your legs can take the impact. What if I applied that to a prosthetic that was on the outside of the flesh instead of replacing your bones? Unless you want me to replace your bones.
I don't.
How do you feel about getting adamantite bones?
She's kind of looks a little overwhelmed at the concept of.
Yeah, you really don't know if Kelsey's being serious or not.
Yeah.
Try one suggestion at a time, I think.
Oh, right. Sorry. Okay.
Remember to put a pin on things.
Where was I? Oh, right. So Wolverine claws. Okay. No, that wasn't it. It was.
Hypothetically, those bones, if you fell off a glacier in the Kartok, that'd be enough to save you?
It would be enough to save your bones.
Mm.
And
So
she
we-
offers
I
with a
never
big.
mentioned
She offers
that.
with a big smile.
The flesh is still squishy and sensitive.
It is, yes. But I can save your bones, and then people would know what happened to you. She just seems like she really wants to get someone to agree to have all their bones replaced.
I'll stick with getting resurrected.
I admit I still haven't quite figured out how to do the skull yet, but I'm sure I'd come up with something in the moment.
Your
Yeah, she'd bring me
enthusiasm.
back just to kill me herself.
Soraya gives Kelsey a look of experiment on my girlfriend and die. And Kelsey nods, understanding. Well,
Oh my gosh, wait, you're girlfriends?
she looks over.
Mel-
Well, are we?
Have been for... I owe you 10 years of anniversaries, don't I?
Yes, you do, and I'm glad that you thought to say it.
I thought you guys were lovers.
Melody, it warms my heart to know how little you've
Goddamn.
changed.
Like, how is that any different?
They are synonyms, you could say. Well, one is a more specific description, and the other is a more vague description.
Yeah.
Girlfriend
Okay.
implies the assumed gender, while lover does not have a gender assigned to it.
Oh, that makes sense.
There's also usually a bit of not quite possession, but commitment implied more heavily.
So it's like, but if you had more than one, you could say lovers and then girlfriends. Because I had a friend who was like, her name is Discord, and she had a lot of girlfriends and lovers, and it was kind of hard to keep up at that time. And I don't think either of us really knew what she meant at the time, because all of her friends were girls, and she did love them, but we were also kind of like 8 at the time, if I remember right.
Soraya leans over and whispers to you, Caldana, she turned out gay. Shocking.
Also, I'm sitting here the entire time you're doing that, and I'm going, name checks out.
Checks out. During dinner, Carmen looks over. Well, I wanted to let you all know that I hesitate to say as thanks, because as if anything we could ever give would serve as thanks for what you're doing. But as thanks for everything so far. There is a place here. It is considered to be holy ground, technically. But Mirabelle has given her blessing for us to use it. There aren't spas anymore, but this is the closest thing to one that you're going to find in this area, or in this time. Somewhere that you can soothe some of your troubles and wash it away. We would give you access to it tonight.
On one condition.
Of course.
The rest of you have to come too.
Yuki immediately tries to weasel her way out of it. And she's like, yeah, I should get an early start on task tomorrow since I'm taking so much of tonight off. And Carmen is not having any of that shit. She looks at her and is like, Yukiko, Arya, Sunvale, you are off tonight. And you are going.
Oh, use the full name. Wait, your full name's Yukiko Arya?
Yes, it is.
Oh, that's pretty.
Thanks, I didn't pick it. She says awkwardly, not knowing how to take a compliment.
Good. So Yuki is going. Kelsey? Kelsey?
Kelsey looks at her arm. Your mom was very clear not to get it wet, but I'm sure it's fine. Yeah, I'll go.
She kind of grimaces. Maybe I'll put some salve on it before you get in the water.
Okay. Wait, this would be a great chance to try out my new technoprosthesis.
No. I do not wish to be electrocuted in the bath.
Oh, well, then I can't get in the water with you.
Why not?
Well,
at all?
my new technoprosthesis, I replaced my lungs.
What do you mean you replaced your lungs?
I have hydro lungs now.
How did you replace your lungs?
What does that mean?
How are you breathing?
With my hydro lungs. Are you not listening?
But wait, if they're hydro lungs, aren't they meant to be in water?
Well, they work in water.
So why? Wait, hold on.
Un momento. Let me get my major technoprosthesis up.
How did you put lungs inside of you?
I prayed to I invoked my blessing with the machine prince.
Wait, so this is before 10 years ago?
He's still around, yeah.
Oh no, he's not still around. But my just like with your goddesses, my connection with him is, and she shows her wolf tattoo.
So have you been in water
Interesting.
since those lungs?
Oh yeah. Yeah, how do
Why
I?
would that electrocute the rest of us?
I don't know. She said she was worried that one of my inventions might electrocute you.
Well, I assumed you meant like a prosthesis like the legs.
Yep. So major technoprosthesis hydro lungs. Your lungs have been replaced with specially designed hydro lungs that allow you to breathe underwater. The filtration system in them allows for you to breathe even in polluted or hazardous waters. This does not protect the rest of your body from the effects of your environment. In addition, you gain a swimming speed equal to your movement speed.
So
Then
basically, you can breathe underwater, but you can't go like farther, or else the pressure depth would fucking crush your body.
Well, it's just to say, like, you could swim in like poisonous waters as long as the poison isn't going to hurt your skin or eyes, because it doesn't protect that. But like, you actually will filter out the poison that goes inside you.
All right. I
But
think
only in your respiratory system.
Yes.
So, I think you are... Excuse me, so sorry. I think, it should be safe. I misunderstood what prosthesis you were talking about.
Oh, no worries. I do also have the reinforced legs, but those should be fine.
I mean, why don't you just put like a protective coating on top of it? Like if you wanted to, like you know how when people make like furniture and stuff, and they're like, oh, we want to make sure that it's super nice and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And what they do is like they put like a lacquer or a varnish on top of it.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'll be fine. Trust me. My reinforced legs are ready for this. She smiles.
I learned that from my friend Sawyer.
Oh. Interesting.
He does
Everyone else-
wonders
I'll
with
be
wood.
glad to have you along.
Everyone else seems to agree to go. I think Lana is probably the most iffy on it for obvious reasons, probably to me, Fala, and Caldana.
Pat the shoulder.
Hi.
But everyone does eventually agree to go.
Well, the only man is not coming, so.
Lana gives you an appreciative smile at that.
Tis a fact.
It is indeed.
All right.
It's
Okay.
a girls' night.
It is. Thankfully, Callie wrote this game, so almost everyone is a girl. So, let me change our music up again. We need this one. So you all head on over. Indeed, you have to go past the grove that Mirabelle continues to pray and chant in. You see what it is that Varys saw the first time he went to go see her. In the center of this grove, there is a massive, a relatively small pond, but with a large lily pad out of which the top blooms a great flower. And sitting in the center of that flower is a woman. I don't know if any of you have actually gotten to meet Mirabelle yet,
I don't think so.
but
No, just Varys, I think.
so Varys would recognize that her appearance has actually changed quite a bit since he was last here, as her continuing to become one with the forest has continued to take its toll on her. But as you all enter, she rises and steps down onto the lily pads towards the shore. She actually reminds you a good bit of the Fae that you met in Domus Dera. Her hair is now almost licheny and has a kind of mossy texture to it. Her eyes no longer have pupils or irises. They are just one solid shade of deep green. And her skin is covered in things like leaves and other kinds of, not branches, but scrub brush kind of, that guards her, but she truly does look to be becoming literally part of the forest as she walks along. Even her feet now have begun to kind of twist and gnarl into like roots almost that kind of cling to the ground as she walks. And she approaches you and bows her head politely. Greetings, whispers in silence.
Greetings.
My name is Mirabelle. I am the keeper of this grove, and I suppose the closest thing to Lady of the Gods' grasp that exists anymore. Kelsey waves. Hi, Mom.
Ah!
Sort of head tilt at that. So you're responsible for arm gesture, all of this?
Yes and no. I am responsible for the forest fighting back against Scala. But no, this city and this place is the efforts of many.
Well, still, compared to what we've seen, I'd say you're doing a fantastic job. Better than everyone else. And just sort of walk forward.
She kind of gives an almost blank look. She has a very alien way of carrying herself, where she... It's as if she doesn't... It's as if she doesn't really relate to mortal people anymore.
Yeah.
And she nods. Well, it is wonderful to meet you all at last. It is in your names that I vowed to continue to fight Scala till the forest take me. I am proud of what I have been able to accomplish, but it is, at the end of the day, you who will stand against her and ultimately defeat her.
Well, we can't all do this alone. But it's good to finally meet the person we've heard bits and pieces about.
She looks over to Kelsey and seems to tilt her head a little bit, and Kelsey walks over. Hi, Mom. And she tilts her head a little bit further, and then it's as if a look of comprehension comes across her face, as if she recognizes her then. Kelsey, it is good to see you. And she finally embraces her in a hug. What's everyone's passive insight?
Not great.
15.
13.
22?
Okay.
I didn't realize mine was that high.
Nice.
All right. I would say Rialta and Falah, you are able to pick up kind of what is happening here very quickly. As she is becoming more the forest and less herself, her memories of people are fading, and indeed she has begun to struggle to recognize people she knew in her life. But as she finally does, she hugs Kelsey very tightly. I trust I trust your father is doing his best to not be himself around you. And Kelsey laughs and nods. He's made a great effort. And
He is making an attempt.
he is making an attempt, and a good one. And she seems to take comfort in that and nods. Very well, then.
I've seen worse fathers.
She looks at you.
Move close over to Lana.
Lana nods very sagely. Yes, I would say that we both have.
I
And-
never had one, so I think that's good, right?
Statistically speaking, yes.
It depends. I loved my father very much, but not everyone has good parents.
Well, I do not mean to lower the mood of your party. Beyond there, you will see a opening in the trees that leads down. There is a spring beneath where we once conducted rituals, though I think it will serve your purposes nicely. It should be warm, and the waters there are said to have a healing property.
Well, thank you for letting us use it. Is there any sort of protocol we should follow to keep it clean?
She chuckles. There's little you could do to this place that will not be done in time by Scala. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy this place while it still exists.
Quick
Well,
little side eye at
we'll
Soraya and Caldana. Yep.
We'll still do our best to not make things worse and later on do something about her.
Caldana has a look on
And
her
walk
face
in.
that says, I know one thing Scala wouldn't do here.
All right, yeah, maybe don't fuck in the Holy Spring. That is no group orgies in the Holy Spring, please.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
is that
Wrong
is that
party.
a specific request?
Yeah. And then she kind of, if you'll excuse me, Scala's forces approach from the west, and I have a pack of wolves that are ready to give them a rough night. And she returns over to the tree, or to the flower in the center of the pond. Each step she takes out in the water.
As well.
A what?
Please give them pets for us as well.
That is not my choice, but I can sway them. And each step she takes in the water, it almost rises up to meet her and lifts her back up towards the large flower in the center, where she sits cross-legged and her eyes just go distant as she is again apparently attuning with the forest. And Kelsey just kind of watches, somewhat complicated look on her face as she then starts walking towards the opening in the trees.
I think it is best we do not disturb her further.
Yes, it is important work my mother does to defend this place.
Sacrifices have been made all around to keep things protected.
Yes. And I know that she feels good about her choice. In her moments of lucidity, she never expresses any disdain for her decisions.
Does that hurt sometimes?
Yes,
No,
but
that's
but-
kind of what's frustrating to me. We're here relaxing.
Mm. We are. It's actually Soraya who speaks up at that. We are. We are here to relax and enjoy the benefits of the work of another. Because when the time comes, and when the moment comes, Mirabelle and Mira and Celeste and all of them, Odile, they will not be able to do what needs to be done. Only we can. This is what they can do.
I
And
know.
every one of them makes that choice knowingly.
I know.
You get
It's
the sense
just-
Falashi's not just saying it for you.
It's frustrating, and I know we have to pace ourselves and everything, but
So
it's galling at this stage to
it is.
be inactive.
It is. Yet, if you were to go too soon and Kelsey were to get killed because she wasn't ready, that would be interminable. And you all descend down through the root system of this tree, and down there is a path that is illuminated by glowing stones. And as you reach the bottom of these glowing stones, you've been plunged into almost darkness, save for these faintly glimmering stones that light around your feet so that you don't miss a step. But at the bottom, what you see immediately is the moon Rosalind. And it takes you a moment before you realize that it is in a spring that is so clear that it reflects the moon perfectly. And above you, there is an opening in the cave system where the moon shines down and reflects and fills this room with moonlight. The water almost seems to glow in here with the moon's light, and it is beautiful. A faint steam comes up off the water. The underground area, indeed, warm, giving a almost hot tub-like effect. And the scent of the area is pleasant. It's clear, refreshing, the opposite of what you experienced in Talia's domain.
It's beautiful here.
Kelsey nods. I've only been here once, but it is quite nice.
Otherworldly, honestly. Or at least it's hard to mention something like this in a world like this.
Can't say I've ever seen anything like it.
Looking up, eyes closed, takes a deep breath. It almost reminds me of some of the OK nights.
Falah,
leaving desert.
this would feel somewhat familiar to you. Finding water in the desert is hard, obviously, but there are oases and springs, because if there wasn't,
That's
you
what
would
I
just all
was. That's
die.
exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
And indeed, on a clear night by an oasis, those were the times when it was most okay. And that's what this feels like, as you all are able to settle down into the water, one way or another. Some of you have brought some more, appropriate bathing attire, and some of you have just chosen to go as you were born. But you all are able to settle down into the water, and the evening is yours.
Oh,
In addition, in addition to her tattoos, Fala also has a not enormous, but a sizable collection of interesting scars.
You do. Although, one thing that you've noticed is the spider on your flesh, now animate, has moved up. It is not touching any of the tattoos that you have gotten since you left home. None of them because I presume you've probably gotten some tattoos since joining or since meeting Jesse and Odile and staying with them. But it hasn't touched any of those.
Yeah.
But what it has done is gone up to where you were branded on your face. And it has begun to fill in those branded scars with an almost ink-like substance, as if it is making your brand into a tattoo.
Nifty.
Ooh.
The spider seems hard at work on your face at the moment. You can see little tiny sweat drops coming off the tattoo to suggest that it's working really hard.
Oh,
Oh, he's working so hard.
Yeah, he's real busy. He's got stuff to do.
He got stuff to do. We got things to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the sound you all hear. Exactly. But, yeah.
Wow.
Nibbles is doing very, very good work.
Say it again.
To be fair, I don't actually notice that.
No, you wouldn't
It's on
notice.
my face. Most people can't see their face.
Well, Lana would point it out. Your spider is working.
Yeah, and then figure it out with the reflection.
Yeah.
But that was just a silly thing that occurred to me.
Oh, Nibbles is moving again. Hi,
Indeed.
Nibbles.
And just seeing that and realizing she's just gonna start crying.
Oh.
Lana puts an arm around you. Just kind of holds you tightly against her.
Lean in
Mm-hmm.
and just let it out.
Yep.
We will sit in support.
And you all aren't particularly surprised to see what the spider is doing. After all, you watched as it basically took apart Brux's tattoos and turned them into the webs of fate that she could follow of her own will. But it seems to be quite meaningful to Fala.
Melody's gonna watch this for a little bit and give a satisfied nod and just kind of like try and find like the farthest like side to this spring. Just kind of
Okay.
like wade in.
You're not particularly hard. Over on the far side of the spring, there is a part that kind of curves outward a little bit, and the depth drops a little bit there. This is where a lot of the taller members of the group have gone because, well, they're tall and they like to be able to get further under the water. So that would be where, probably where Toshiro would be, probably where Soraya would be, and probably by extension Caldana, I would imagine, is there.
Caldana definitely just went down and like only her eyes and above are above water.
Melody's doing the same, but she looks
Classic.
more like a fucking crocodile than anything.
Yeah.
Doing that.
Toshira is relaxing peacefully. Her head is kind of leaned back over the side, and she may or may not have fallen asleep. She seems very comfortable. Because it certainly ain't this nice over by Lox and Terran, that's for sure.
Mm. And you said the light reflects here, right? Like the spring surface has the moonlight reflected on it.
Uh-huh.
Around when they all moved in, Melody was kind of like covered up, and then when she went into the water, she's kind of like shed that it's like a towel she put
Mhm.
around her. There's like an iridescent
Shimmer.
sheen that joins the
Mm-hmm.
little dancing lights.
You would probably see that Tashira does much the same, as she's also a gem scale.
Yeah. And then Melody is trying so hard not to look over.
Yeah.
Not to stare.
Yeah, makes sense. Lana glances over to Caldana and Soraya and it's like, so you two just kind of picked right up where you left off, huh? Soraya's
Yeah?
like, well, yeah, I mean, she freed me from a prison and then brought me back to life. I figured the least I could do is wait for her for 10 years. Sure. No. Lana's like, yeah, okay, I don't think that compares to that. Nope. That is a hard story to top.
Yep.
You know, when you put it, well, I don't know if it's that difficult to top. But when you put it like that,
She nods. She nods and gives a knowing look to Caldana. It's not.
Ooh.
Oh, they been telling mature jokes over here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not over there because it's too deep.
The jokes or the pool?
Just the pool.
Okay, just checking.
Just the pool.
All right, just checking. Yuki is, of course, the shy one. She has a towel wrapped around herself, even
Yeah.
in the water.
Yeah.
But she seems to be... she's doing that thing where she's, like, looking like she's relaxing, but you can tell she's definitely not relaxing because she's just thinking, oh, my God, there's so many things I'm supposed to be doing right now.
what about Melisandre?
Melisandre's not here. She is in Minas Grove at the moment.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That we know of.
Yeah, I don't know that she would be able to handle herself if she got to see Melisandre in a swimsuit.
It's like if you see like a pool of blood slowly forming over on that side of the spring, then we know that Melisandre's over there.
Yeah, and Melisandre probably wouldn't think it's any more impressive than normal.
Rialto will head over to Yuki and then look at her and go, "Is your head too busy?"
How do you know?
I can get that way sometimes, and that's what my father would ask me. He would say, "Is your head too busy?" Sometimes he'd ask me if it was full of bees, and I'd have to remind him that bees only buzz, and I was thinking actual thoughts. Then he would laugh at me.
She kind of laughs at that as well. I think I would have liked your dad.
I think you would have. He was a good man. Adventurous. Lots of... I didn't know it at the time. I thought of him really as my hero. I looked up to him a lot. It wasn't until I was older, after he had passed away, that I realized how many people thought he was unusual. He was not content to stay at home. He wanted to travel, to climb the tallest mountains one could. I didn't realize how unusual that was until I had thought about doing things like that.
She nods. Well, I'm sure that then he died doing what he loved. Even if he didn't get to die with the people he loved.
That is definitely true. And he died, well, as himself.
How big is this hot spring? Like across?
It's probably like... It's not small. It's probably like 30 feet across.
We're not, like, whispering, if that helps.
Yeah, you'd certainly be able to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Hold
if
on, it
anything,
just kind of
with
sinks a little lower.
He died doing what he loved, getting murdered.
It is somewhat interesting, actually. It turns out that he had saved Caldana's mother's life. Sometimes the world is comfortably smaller.
There are those that believe that, well, they see a small world as a prison. I see it as proof that what we say to each other matters and how we treat each other matters. I don't like the idea of there always being another person.
I agree. I think at first I didn't feel that way, but that's mostly because, well, this may be hard to believe, but I didn't have many friends when I was your age.
That is hard to believe.
She looks at her trying to see if she can detect sarcasm.
You don't detect any. She seems genuinely surprised.
She finds that surprising. But she nods. I did not have very many friends when I was your age, and, well, I had hoped that perhaps the world was big enough for me to find some. Thankfully, it was.
She nods. She looks over at Tashira then, and is like, okay. And then she looks back to you. I'm going to kind of get what was on my mind off my mind, and then maybe that'll help.
Very well.
Okay. She looks over to Tashira. Tashira? And Tashira glances back over. Yes? So your arm is missing. I mean, you've got a new one, but it's, your arm's missing. And Tashira blinks. Yes, how kind of you to notice. I hadn't myself. It's been gone for 8 years.
Oh, do you not know how she lost her arm? You didn't tell us how you lost your arm.
Oh, well, Evelyn relieved me of it when she captured me.
Oh.
Yes. But of course, Kelsey was kind enough to craft me this replacement. Kelsey gives a very self-satisfied smile. There are certain things that magic and the ways of nature can fix, and there are certain things that must be left to the machine. And that's when Yuki's like, okay, well, I can cast Regenerate, so... I mean, if you want it back, I can give it to you.
That is true.
And Kelsey looks heartbroken. Oh. It's almost like powerful healing magic, and the ability to bring people back to life really takes the stakes down in this game.
I'm about to ruin this woman's whole career.
Yeah, literally.
Tashira gives a apologetic look to Kelsey, who just shakes her head. No, it's okay. I'll take it back. And she takes the mechanical arm back and just sets it down on the side.
No, wait. It can be like a third arm.
Oh, well, if she wants it to be a third arm, I'm going to have to figure out a grafting method and where we're going to put it and how to attach it to muscles and nerve.
At that point, why not 2 extra arms? Or 6 extra arms?
Her eyes widen.
An even number so that she's balanced.
Yes. Why not 6 arms?
I mean, it would be kind of like a spider, but I think we've had enough of spiders. Perhaps it'd be more like an octopus.
Yes. Why not?
Havana pops back up. Please, no more spiders.
This is brilliant. You can see she goes over and just starts drawing in the dirt as she starts working on schematics.
I'm gonna cast Mage Hand and splash water at Tashira.
All right. Tashira gives a glance over at you as you splash her, and then cracks her neck in each direction. And she's gonna splash you back. And she is a 7 strength. She's not very strong still. She's a 20 dex, but 7 strength. So her splash, you probably do. She is a 7 strength.
That's rough.
I have a 10.
I mean, so I was thinking about upping her strength in the preceding downtime, but she also lost an arm. So I'm like, okay, well, she did lose some of her strength in that. So I'm just going to say she stayed even at 7.
But how's her aim with the splash?
Oh, it is pinpoint with her 20 dexterity. She also has an 18 constitution, so she's pretty tough. So, yeah, she splashes you back and kind of gives a half grin at that. And Yuki kind of paddles on over and she nods. Okay. Let me see. She goes into her pack and pulls out a small prayer wheel that she sets down. It's got symbols of the of Laki on it. And okay. And we're just going to use this. And okay. Are you ready? And she gives a look to her that says, I've been missing my arm for 8 years. Yeah, I'm ready. Go ahead. And you see her start to close her eyes and cast. And it takes about a minute to cast the spell. And you all feel a powerful suffusion of divine magic in this place. It is, even to those of you who aren't really involved in magic, you can feel this. It is palpable. And Rialta, I think maybe more than anyone, you realize just how powerful of a cleric Yuki actually is.
Yeah.
She is she is probably the closest thing to a goddess on this planet right now.
Yeah.
That isn't Diascala. She is very strong. As she summons up the energies of her faith in Laki and her faith in heroes of this world. And indeed, much like a lizard regrowing its limb, you all watch as this stump near her shoulder kind of curves over and then starts to grow outwards. And over the next 90 seconds or so, you hear bones popping and cracking into place. Doesn't sound particularly pleasant, but it doesn't seem to be hurting her. And then as it gets down to her wrist, it suddenly flares out into 5 small digits, which elongate out into fingers. And then the skin kind of cracks and snaps open and sheds away, and a fresh arm is underneath it as she blinks in, her eyes wide, as she looks at her left arm return to her.
Question: Did she make did she make a human arm, or did she make a dragon?
No, it's a
Dragonborn.
dragonborn arm. It's she cast the regenerate spell on her.
Elf arm.
Brought back exactly as it was, or as it would be now. And she kind of stares at it wide-eyed and then looks to Yuki and immediately pulls her into a very tight hug. In the process of doing, she kind of hits her in the face because she's not used to having her left arm anymore, and she's not exactly accurate with it yet. But she does. She pulls her into a tight hug and thanks her for it. And Kelsey's like, I'm just saying, my arm had really good grip is all.
Rialta kind of will look from afar because they're in the deep end, and that's too deep for her. And kind of a very just an interested kind of look. But then once things start to get kind of emotional, she thinks for a moment and kind of takes the sort of quiet distraction. And all you really see is that she's panning around, and she just seems to be looking at rocks.
Interesting. Go ahead and make a investigation check for me.
I know exactly why she's looking at rocks.
I only have +1. Nope, that's a 5.
So you look around in the waters, and you don't see anything of interest anyway. You see a bunch of different kinds of stones in the bottom of here, although most of them seem to have been maybe cleared out as if they were, taken out so people don't stub their feet on them in here. And as you go back and kind of, you do find some things that are interesting to you, like, of course, given the kind of high mineral content of this water, there must be some interesting stones in there. You find one that you think might be an ore of some kind. You think... God damn it. And as you kind of quietly nestle back in, having a moment to yourself, you just look up at the moon, and the moon and a single ray of it kind of shines through on a spot. And that spot that illuminates, you see a stone there on the ground, and you swear it wasn't there before. Like, you're you're almost certain, but you also rolled a 5 on your investigation, so you're like, maybe I'm not certain.
Sometimes I miss things too.
Yeah, and you reach down and pick it up, and you may add a moonstone to your inventory.
All right. She just kind of puts that in and just kind of quietly sits back. I wouldn't say she's good at sneaking, but she's trying not to raise attention.
Does Tashira let go of Yuki?
Yes, she would let it go, and
flashing
Yuki.
her with the mage hand again.
Okay. Yuki gets out of the way because she doesn't want to get her hair wet because he has a lot of hair and it takes a long time to dry. So she instead moves out of the way and scampers back on over to the shallow end where Rialta is and goes to sit next to her. And Tashira nods. Very well. I understand. Make a acrobatics or athletics check as an escape grapple DC.
Oh, hello?
I
It's
mean,
24.
you started it.
She got a... that is Kelsey's character sheet. That's not going to help me. I need Tashira's character sheet. She got a 25. She got a 15 plus 10. So you try to like jump out of the way as she starts to approach, but she is lightning fast, and those legs of hers are powerful. They can launch her high up into the air. And yeah, she gets a hold of you and picks you up over her head and just tosses you into the water on the other side. And there is a large splash then as she impacts the water. And Kelsey's drawing in the sand gets completely washed away, and she calls party foul on that. That's bullshit. Soraya glances at you. I see the kids are enjoying themselves, she says as she starts to wring out her hair.
Not a kid!
We could show them how it's properly done.
She gives a look. I believe the plant lady outside said none of that in the hot spring.
Grody.
Alana's just gonna give her a look of not what I meant, and then just
dear.
pick her up and yeet her.
Oh, you are getting punished.
She is not prepared for it. I'll have you make an athletics check at advantage.
At advantage,
When I
I'm
s-
good at those.
When I say that, I just look at Yuki and go, "Can we agree to not participate in this game?"
Yuki nods. Please, my hair it takes forever to dry.
30 from a nat 20.
Well,
All right. Soraya. Let's see what she's got going on here.
let's see.
Well, let's see. She has a +2 to her athletics and a +0 to her acrobatics.
Mm.
So with that 8, I'm going to say she does not succeed. As you reach over and suddenly grab her, and she lets out a yelp and gives you a "don't you dare," and you yeet
You
her
dare.
across, and she goes in the water with a splash right next to Melody, and the water next to Melody begins to boil for a moment as her head comes back up of the surface. Her long black hair all around her. She looks like the fucking girl from The Ring. She looks like
Oh yeah.
what's her name?
Sadako.
Sadako, yeah. And she pushes her wet hair out of her face. I see. So you have chosen violence this night.
Just nods. Kind of gives her
Well-
a smirk of, I'd like to see you try.
Well, this place is getting what's the opposite of desecrated? That is the word I'm looking for.
Yes. I need you to make a wisdom save, Caldana.
on. Do I have something for this? Oh no. I don't know if
Do
I have something
something
for
for
this.
this?
No.
I was gonna say you're a
no.
barbarian. Statistically, you're not doing well.
Yeah, I was gonna say statistically those saves are.
Oh no, that's. Wait.
She's got a pretty good spell save DC.
She is a cleric.
Yep.
Does my legendary resistance only work when I'm raging?
Yes.
Yes. That's a 10.
So you are kind of chuckling to yourself as she comes back up out of the water and cracks her neck. And then suddenly you can't move as her hold person spell goes off.
Oh.
And she makes her way back over to you, swaying her hips in the water as she approaches. And she grabs your chin in her hand and makes you look up at her. Now then, I will remember that tonight. And she puts her hand on top of your head and pushes you down under the water.
Gosh.
Remind me, how long can I hold my breath with the 16 con?
I think it's the amount of minutes of how much of the plus.
Yeah, so you could hold it for, I believe, 3 minutes.
I think that's how that works. It might be
Or
three
I think it's a
plus
minute
something.
plus your. It's a 1 plus your con.
Is it 1 plus con?
Mod, yeah,
Okay.
in minutes.
Something like that.
So she is holding your head underwater, and it's been 2 minutes now that she has held your head there and has not seemed. She's just gone on talking now to Tashira as if nothing happened. And Tashira is getting ever more nervous about whether or not
You are drowning.
this is actually breath play or she's just murdering you.
I'm gonna wade over and go like, horn buddy.
You
I'd
are
like
able
to
to.
Oh,
rage
that
and
will
bide
not
my
help the case.
time.
You are after a minute, the whole person does wear off, so you are able to move again.
Oh, I'll just bide my time down here.
Okay, excellent.
Don't make me bring out the water bubble.
Okay, right?
Soraya blinks. Oh, probably.
That wasn't a yes.
No, it wasn't. She seems very nonplussed.
Oh,
I'm just quietly sitting over in the corner with my sister.
You know, we have a saying in Abyssal. Unkashkalista. She says in perfect Abyssal, because she still can speak it. It means own your consequences. Lana thinks it's fucking fascinating that she can still speak Abyssal. So you can just still speak that. Interesting. She's like, yeah, why would I have forgotten it? You know, I guess I always just kind of thought it was kind of like primordial, where you can either just speak it or you can't. Finally, she pulls her hand away.
Hold on, I need to check something real quick.
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear, indeed.
If she did drown, I'll just revivify her.
I would like to pop Wrath of the Righteous, grab her, fly up, and drop her.
Wow!
Go ahead and make an athletics check.
Oh my god.
29.
Indeed, 2 beautiful angelic wings pop out of your back and splash some water out as you grab her and just fly up into the air, up through that kind of canopied top almost where the root systems give away, and she immediately covers her chest as she goes out into the night, and you just drop her back down.
Oh,
And-
before I drop her, I just smirk down and in Abyssal, I fear no consequence. Drop.
Very well. She falls and plummets into the water and comes back up a moment later. and just quietly goes and sits down instead next to Yuki and Rialta.
I'll just
I'll
look
fly
over
back
at her.
down.
I believe I heard this called a lover's quarrel.
It's interesting. In my era, we called it premeditation.
Hmm.
It takes a moment for Riel to go, oh, murder. Well, if things should get too feisty, I can get a watery sphere out.
She gives a look to you. Martine's a lucky man.
She kind of looks at her like, what? I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean.
Just what I said.
Mm.
He's lucky to have someone care about him like you do. Both of you.
Glance at Yuki and
Yuki rubs at her neck. I'm not sure I would call him lucky. All the words I would call him. And she looks very genuinely disturbed by that. We should all be so fortunate to have someone love us the way you two do him. Don't ever question that. She glanced over at Caldana. That one doesn't realize how lucky she is.
right. But yes.
This is what I get for letting a locket choose my lover.
I mean, I have certainly heard of unusual ways that people pick partners, and that has to be one of the strangest ones I've heard.
I don't recommend it, particularly highly right now.
Melody is uncharacteristically quiet as this conversation has moved to topics of love. And
Tashira speaks up at that point. Oh, yeah. Love is a wild one, isn't it? It's crazy. 10 years ago, when I was traveling with these people, I mean, brief as it was, oh, talk about love at first sight with Melody.
sink
And the dead
into
silent.
the water.
The dead silence is just like, what?
Sink into the water, and there's a the scales around her lower face has darkened, and the stars have come out again. So
Yeah. Lana smacks her upside the head. And she's like, ow. What? Right. It's only been a few days for all of you. Sorry, it is hard for me to get my mind around this. It is so complicated.
I mean, we all know it, though. You two need to... Don't... She just sort of looks around a bit. Don't wait to figure it out.
Oh, I mean, I am 10 years older than any of you now.
And I'm pretty sure that she wouldn't have waited. I mean, look at her. She's great and awesome, and there's no way no one else would have noticed. It took me a while to notice. Someone else who's well smarter and more better at this stuff is
well, I did have a wife, but she passed.
I'm sorry.
As well.
Araya was a good woman. But she died to sickness which she thought was the most disgusting death one could imagine. I'm told that it was not something that would have been curable. It was something that was wrong with her the moment she was born. A weakness of her heart.
I've heard of such things. Healing magics can only delay the inevitable.
She had been delaying the inevitable, as you put it, since she was 10. And it finally caught up with her about 4 years after we were wed.
Short.
At least you had that much time.
We did. And they were good years. If you'll excuse me, I'm going to call it a night. It has been... She looks at her arm. It has been unexpected, to say the least.
Of course. We'll see.
Before she gets out, when she mentioned having her wife,
Mm-hmm.
Melody shot up from the water and made and bolted out.
If it would be better, I could plan to leave tomorrow.
We will require your assistance when we head to Far Home.
And one way or another, you would of course have it. Our resistance on that side of the world is operating out of we have a base under Lox and Terran. Ambrosia is there running things with the matriarch, and you will have whatever aid that we have to offer and whatever information we have to offer when you come.
She just needs some time. All of us are, in one way, shape, or form, feeling, the loss of time dilation and change.
I wish I could tell you that I understand, but I can't imagine what it is that you're all feeling. To be displaced from the world you know and the time that you know is, well, I believe it must be terrible for you.
If it makes you feel any better, I don't really understand it either.
Then maybe it's not so bad that we're all taking a night off to process tonight.
I think that's fair.
2 down, 3 to go.
That's right.
When it comes time for Evelyn, let me know. I owe her a lance through the throat.
You shall have her arm, as the Fae say.
Ha! I could get on board with that. And she,
Definitely give her that sort of like feral grin at that.
she grabs her clothes and she heads off for the night, heading up to the inn where she's staying.
At Melody's leaving, Raelta also just stares in the water, knowing a little bit of some of this. But I guess, do we know where you went, Melody, or are you just gone? Like, want to go back to the room?
She did not go back to the room. Or, didn't go back to Silence Broken at all.
Okay, where did you go?
She would have gone to the highest point, in Ashok.
So that would be probably the main tree where you originally teleported in. As you all exited, you descended down kind of the outer carved ramp down towards the ground, but you can go up as well. And near the top of that tree, the top bits of the canopy have been actually cut away, and a sort of observation platform has been made up there. That would probably be the highest point you can get to. in Ashok. And from there, you do have quite the view. You're able to see over the tops of many of the other trees. Occasionally, there's one that still kind of blocks your view, but you can see quite far. In the far off distance, even in the dark of the night, you can see some smoke rising from what must be the burning line there. But you have quite a view, especially of the moon, Rosalind, which sits high overhead right now.
Is anyone around, like or a watcher or something like that, or is this place kind of like alone?
There is one person who is up there right now as a guard, effectively, just watching. And as you come up, he looks over and blinks. Ms. Melody, welcome. If you're looking for privacy, I can give you some.
And her lip trembles. She kind of like manages a small nod.
And he bows his head politely and heads downstairs to give you a moment to yourself up here.
And she's going to find like is there like an open like balcony kind of thing, like a
I would say this whole platform is kind of a large balcony. It's a large observation deck that just has a fence around it. It's all kind of a balcony.
She's going to go to like a spot where it's like the most secluded.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like sit down, put her knees to herself, and just wrap her arms around it.
Mm-hmm.
And she lowers her head, and if not for like the small sobs and sniffles, you would think she would have just fallen asleep then and there.
Yep. It's at times like these in the past that you might have been visited by the matriarch or Evelyn. But it is not the case this night. For you have been made a knight of them, and it is expected that to some extent you stand on your own 2 feet, even when times are tough. But you do take some comfort in their words. All things are destined to change. Even the bad must too become good at some point. But other than that, it is a quiet night, unless someone happens to come along.
She is probably not gonna move.
Mm-hmm.
Probably might spend the night there.
Okay. And you do.
And she hasn't felt this way in quite a bit, and because she spent like quite a long time by herself.
Would you say she's ever felt this way, like heartbreak in this way?
No, as in like this is like the first time in a long while she's felt well and truly alone.
Mm.
Like, it's, I guess like the closest would be like her first few nights
Yep.
being away from her parents.
Those first few nights were the hardest. Because everything that you had been used to was taken. Everything that you were used to, all the comforts that you knew of home were gone at that point. And for you, home has never really been about a place specifically. Home is the people that you're with. And when they were gone, yeah, you felt like you had nothing. And I would say that tonight probably does feel that way. Similar, at least. Though part of you knows that you aren't alone. You have made 4 very good friends. but it
Speak-
doesn't lessen the heartbreak.
When we get back to our rooms and stuff, and she isn't there, Phila would start tracking her down.
Cool. Survival or investigation, I would say. Whatever you prefer.
Okay then. $18.
It is not hard to track down a 7-foot-tall dragonborn. That is a fact.
Especially a hero.
Yes. And indeed, eventually you come across the guard who is not in his position where he's supposed to be. Instead, he is down at the base of the tree. And upon questioning him, you're able to learn that indeed Melody is up top. And as you get up there, you see that she is having a tough night. She has her head buried in her knees, and you can hear the small sobs and sniffles occasionally coming from her.
Sit down cross-legged right beside her. Knee to knee. Look, I'm sorry. I didn't mean anything by that. At the spring.
And it takes her a bit to answer. She wasn't expecting anyone.
Yeah.
And like you see like a little start from her, but she kind of grips at her arms a bit, and she goes,
You don't have to apologize. It I guess I knew. I just didn't want that to be. I guess I didn't want it to be true. It's only been a few days for us, but it's been years for them. Of course she's gonna find someone.
Yeah. I'm still I'm still getting used to being caught up in all of this. All of it. You and my mother and everybody else. I mean, I think you were the one who said to me that we're a lot alike.
I hope that in some way I managed to help with losing someone. I guess I just didn't expect to lose a lot more than I was prepared to. Lost
Just
my
sort of
mom.
nods.
I lost someone I didn't know I cared about until it was too late.
Well, did you really lose her?
It hurt her.
About what? The age difference?
Age difference? New love that she found?
Well, maybe it's just me, but I look at that. The age difference, if you talk through it, I feel like you can get through that. I've seen and heard of far bigger ones. And as far as the partner she had in the gap, do you know, did she have any partner before we met her? Would that have made a difference? I mean, she's
And
not currently with someone.
No, but it's incredible. We've only known her for a few weeks, but from what I could remember, from how she acted, it was kind of nice, I guess. It probably wouldn't have worked out. I mean,
Maybe, but sometimes you just have to take those plunges. Don't stop to think. Consider everything. Sometimes you just have to do. I certainly wouldn't be here, and neither would Lana.
I guess in some way I was a little envious of you getting to see your moms and your family. Being with the family when you couldn't be with the family you were born with. Your moms were kind of scary when we met them, but they were family to you, and even I could see that she had a soft spot for you. You meant a lot to her. My moms had to leave because they had to help. And I guess I've always been losing a lot of things I care about. There's some nights when I wonder when it'll be worth it. When it'll stop. When I'm allowed to have something to care about and not have it get snatched away from me.
And at that point, Falah's crying a bit too. I mean, I just ended up having more to lose. It turned out.
I don't want to have to lose you guys too.
We That's why we're going to succeed.
You two spend an evening just talking. Melody, during this evening, up almost all night talking with Falah, you see that indeed you aren't alone because you are loved. And indeed you have bore terrible loss. But even still, the wonderful person that you are has attracted more people who would give anything to be part of your life. And Falah, I think for the first time since that day at Scala's Wrath, you feel like you're a part of this group. You feel like you are a piece of it. Rialta, you wanted to grab Caldana and Soraya before they set off for the evening.
Yep.
And indeed, Soraya is in the process of drying off her hair, which she was not intending to have to do tonight. And she glances up as you approach.
Caldana definitely slinks over like the puppy that knows it got way too into playtime.
She would first make sure that Yuki left safely. And
Yep. Yuki has made it safely home.
And she just she looks the two of you, just kind of biting her lip. Actually, if I could have a moment of both of your times, I would appreciate it.
For you, anything. She looks at Caldana. For you, very little.
She kind of looks at that and nods. She just wants to make sure there's a modicum of privacy before she begins. Okay.
It wouldn't take long before everyone else has kind of seen the writing on the wall and has excused themselves to return home for the evening.
Rialta kind of shifts nervously. I haven't really discussed this with the rest of the group yet. There's been too much going on. But I have twice been able to get into contact with Martine Sunvale.
I can't say I know the details of what has befallen him. My knowledge of such things is not what it once was.
I assume it's not good, though.
He has been trying to force himself to turn into a dread demon.
She kind of narrows her eyes at that. Why would anyone wish such a fate upon themselves?
Rialta gives a very big sigh. Martine is the kind of person who is so dedicated to his goals and sense of morality that he is willing to play a part of a villain if it means saving the world.
I see.
He believed that if he could become a dread demon of a god killer, that he could therefore take Diascala down, and hopefully we would clean up the mess with him.
Rialta, in my time, I told myself often that I wanted to play the part of the villain for the greater good. And I understand that Jesse Silver would often use that phrasing here and now today. Or 10 years ago, anyway.
Caldana kind of gives a half shrug. Don't have to be a hero to save the world.
You don't. But at the same time, this world has enough villains in it. Heroes are what is needed.
Well, I bear some guilt in his path. Caldana, you know what Brooks told him that day.
About the first time around?
The first time he became one, yes.
Soraya raises her eyebrows. What?
You did what now?
I believe you were still... where
No,
were
it
you?
was after Moonbay.
That was after Moonbay. You were gone.
Brux's tattoo had the power to, in a grander sense than Lana, rewrite time, history.
Change fate.
We don't
Exactly.
remember it, but after we had eliminated the people whose names I forgot, what were basically the KKK,
The Disciples of Lao.
Disciples of Lao.
Yeah.
He had made a speech apparently to the greater populace that was not taken well, and it caused his spark to ignite into a dread demon of lies.
She seems to nod as she thinks about that. Indeed. Many things happened around the Inquisition leading up to that day. I can't help but think maybe that was engineered as such.
Planned that he would spark?
Yes.
It
Not
was
so
fit.
different though. It would. And if what I know of Martine now is true, then it might be a continuation of Scala's plan. If she tried to make him ignite once, perhaps she is still trying to do so.
Perhaps. Either way.
To what end, I can't say anymore.
Indeed. Either way, he had knowledge of that happening. None of us knew it happened except for Brooks. Brooks decided to tell Caldana and myself about it. And we told him. We thought he should know that he had the spark. We didn't really realize at the time, like we do now, that really didn't matter as much as we thought it did. And I'm afraid he is using that knowledge to do this. He
believes he can do more good as a dread demon than he can as he is now.
Indeed. He is being prevented. I happen to know the person preventing it. He is not aware. But it will not be enough, I'm afraid.
So
And-
he is Bart?
No. He, sort of, when he was taken in front of Diascala, in front of the populace, when he was captured, and the populace decided to vote for his death or not, they voted for, and he began to spark. However, the spark did not fully materialize because people one by one entered the dream world, and therefore their feelings towards him went from negative to neutral.
Ambivalent.
Unaware.
And he couldn't finish the process.
And so he has been trying ever since to finish it, but one person has been effectively made that not happen.
Yuki.
Exactly. He is unaware of that fact. He just knows that something is stopping him. He is in pain. In my folly, I told him he should come here so that perhaps more help could be given to him. She kind of looks at the ground, thinking for a long moment of how to say this before inhaling deeply. I wish I could do more, and I'm afraid that I am not enough, as it seems. I was not enough, as he so accurately pointed out, to prevent his turning the first time, and it seems I will not be enough now. My brother always accused me of not having feelings. I did not realize the extent of that truth until now. It seems that my feelings are not enough to put a stop to it, and I don't want Yuki. Go ahead.
Is it that your feelings aren't enough, or they weren't enough to counterbalance an angry crowd of all of Stone's Throw?
I guess I don't know then why. Well, I don't know. Yuki seems powerful enough now, and is there not angry people at him now?
Not many. Most
My
people who
point
exist
being
now have
more-
no opinion of him one way or the other. They live in a dream world where he does not exist.
My point's being more, you may not be giving yourself enough credit either.
She's quiet at that. She looks down and kind of fidgets a bit with her hands.
She reaches out and tilts your chin up to look at her. Rialta.
Yes?
The power of a dread demon is a corrupting thing. It corrupts all that it touches. I believed wholeheartedly that what I was doing was just and right. I was not lying to myself. I believed it. And he does too. He believes that what he is doing is the right thing because the voice in his mind now, the voice in his soul that has begun to take him and corrupt him, is telling him that every moment, that it is the right thing to do, that the only way he can help people is to become this thing. That is the corrupting influence of it. But take it from me. Sometimes all it takes is one person to bring you back.
Yeah.
Caldana, did you want to say something?
Was basically going to say what she did. Dread demons can ignore their nature. It must be unbelievably difficult, but it's possible.
She nods. Have faith, Rialta. I have not known many to be as good a people as you all are. I wasn't lying when I said he was a very lucky man.
Aldana just kind of gives a half smirk, and if all else fails, we give him amnesia and see if what works for me works for him.
Or that.
She does actually laugh at that because it's so out of left field. Huh. I suppose that could be plan C. I so far have a plan A and a plan B. Plan B is kind of rickety. It'll probably lead directly to plan C.
Maybe beat the demon voice Hunter's head should be a couple letters farther down.
It's been difficult to have good plans. But I have one. I just hope it will be enough to snap him back.
You know I never have a plan, and kind of smirks at Soraya. Worked out surprisingly well so far.
I don't understand how you do it. She just shakes her head like, that sounds like hell.
She nods. Have a good night, Rialta. I promise you, it'll work out.
Thank you.
We're there for you. Every step.
And on that note, she glances over at you, Caldana. And you, she grabs onto your horns. Your matriarch has orders for you, and she drags you off.
Going to avoid that one and move away.
And so, the evening passes. Some of you have a very punishing evening. Some of you beat yourself up overnight. Some of you stay awake for most of the evening talking with a newfound friend.
Yeah.
And Sir Varys feels a little flat tonight, so he just goes to sleep. And in the morning does eventually come, however, and you all are summoned bright and early to, actually, for Falah and Melody, you may not have to go far because you are all summoned to that observation deck in the morning. So you two actually may
good.
just be...
Who brought donuts?
You two, yeah, so you two may actually be just have to be like going to breakfast at that point, having been up till like the early hours of the morning talking. So you probably have breakfast when you get summoned back there quite quickly. And that morning, the whispers and murmurs about something happening to the west do indeed draw your eyes skyward as you move up to the trees and take view on this vantage point high above most of the canopy. And far in the distance, impossibly far in the distance, beyond the Soren mountain range, a great pillar of shadow rises up into the sky. And as it does, it has begun to disperse outwards, a thick, choking miasma that blots out the sun and casts the land back into night. Looking up at the sky, Yuki frowns and glances towards you, Rialta. It looks like your goddess has a message for you, she says, as you are all plunged into darkness. And that is where we'll wrap up for tonight.
Uh-oh.